Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Grab a slice of pizza. We're going to talk about something that affects nearly everyone watching this. Retirement money. Not retirement goals or dreams, but the actual dollars sitting in actual accounts when people actually stop working. And here's what we're going to discover together. The average number you've probably heard doesn't tell you what you need to know. The median does. The gap between these two is where the real story lives. If you're thinking about your future or managing your family's finances, hit that subscribe button. We go deep into money, data, and what actually works. Let's start with a question. When you imagine the typical American household at retirement age, what number comes to mind? You've probably seen headlines saying the average retirement savings is somewhere around $250,000. Some years it's higher, some years lower, but that ballpark figure gets repeated everywhere. News sites cite it. Financial advisors reference it, and it shapes how people think about whether they're on track or falling behind. But here's the problem with that number. It's profoundly misleading. It's not lying exactly. It's just that one huge outlier on the high end pulls the entire average upward in a way that doesn't represent what most households actually have. This is where median comes in. The median is the middle point. If you line up every household by their retirement savings from lowest to highest, the median is the household right in the middle. Half have more, half have less. And when researchers dig into the actual data, the median retirement savings for households headed by someone age 65 or older is closer to $87,000. Let that land for a moment. $250,000 average versus $87,000 median. That's not a small gap. That gap is a millionaire in the dataset pulling the average way up while the typical household sits much lower. Why does this matter? Because if you've been comparing yourself to that average and feeling like you're behind, you might actually be closer to typical than you thought. But if you've been feeling like you're ahead, you might want to look closer at what's actually happening with your money. The median tells you what's real for most people. The average tells you what happens when you include some extremely wealthy outliers in the same group. Now let's talk about what that $87,000 actually means in monthly income. This is where things get even more concrete. If someone has $87,000 in retirement savings, and they follow the standard safe withdrawal rate of 4% per year, that's roughly $3,500 per year, or about $290 per month. Just from that account, that's not nothing, but it's also not a full retirement for most people. This is why Social Security exists. The median Social Security benefit in 2024 is around $1,800 per month. So for the typical household, you're looking at Social Security plus that withdrawal from savings, which gets you to something around $2,000 per month total. Boy, this pizza is really good. Now, here's the catch. That math assumes the money lasts. It assumes you don't have unexpected expenses. It assumes you don't make withdrawals faster than you should. It assumes discipline that many people don't have, through no fault of their own. Because life happens. Medical bills happen. Car repairs happen. Family emergencies happen. And each of these moments creates what I call a leak point. These are the places where decades of careful saving drain away in months or years. Let me walk you through the major leak points, because understanding where your money actually goes is half the battle. First leak point: vehicle financing and replacement. The typical American household spends between $15,000 and $20,000 replacing a vehicle during retirement. Some people pay cash. Many people finance, which means interest costs. Either way, this is a 6-month to 2-year event that can consume 5 to 10 years worth of safe withdrawals from that $87,000 nest egg. And if you're financing at current interest rates, you're paying a lot more than the sticker price. Second leak point: healthcare. Most retirees are on Medicare, but Medicare doesn't cover everything. Supplemental insurance, prescriptions, dental, vision, hearing aids, long-term care. These add up to thousands per year for many households. And if you end up needing assisted living or home care, those costs can exceed $1,500 per month. That will drain even a 6-figure retirement account in years, not decades. Third leak point: discretionary spending and lifestyle inflation. Someone retires. They finally have time to do things. Travel sounds nice. Restaurant meals increase. Hobbies become more active. Subscriptions accumulate. A person who spent $1,000 a month on discretionary items while working suddenly starts spending $2,000 because they have more time, not less money. This leak is insidious because it doesn't feel like an emergency, it feels like finally living. And it is. But it also accelerates the depletion of savings. Fourth leak point: family support. Adult children need help with down payments. Grandchildren need tuition support. Parents need care assistance. These aren't hypothetical. Data shows that about 40% of retirees provide financial help to adult family members. That help averages somewhere between $500 and $2,000 per year per household, but for some people it's much higher. It's a beautiful thing to help your family, but it's also capital leaving your account. Fifth leak point: housing costs. You'd think that if your mortgage is paid off, housing becomes cheap. And it does become cheaper. But property taxes don't stop. Maintenance doesn't stop. Utilities don't stop. Homeowners insurance doesn't stop. For many people, these costs total $1,200 to $1,800 per month. If that's a significant percentage of your $2,000 monthly income, you're already stretched thin before you buy food, or pay for utilities, or handle any surprise. So we have a situation where the median household retires with $87,000, which generates about $2,000 per month in combined income. And then life happens through these leak points. Vehicles fail, healthcare costs spike, spending patterns shift, family asks for help. Housing consumes a bigger percentage of income than anticipated. Within 5 to 10 years, many households have moved from that $87,000 down to $40,000 or $50,000, or even depleted it entirely. But here's where we shift from the problem to the solution. There are leverage points. These are the actions that, if taken before or early in retirement, have outsized impact on your financial security. First leverage point: delay. This is the single most powerful tool, and it's completely free. If you delay claiming Social Security from 62 to 67, your monthly benefit increases by roughly 30%. That's permanent. That compounds every month for the rest of your life. If you delay from 62 to 70, the increase is roughly 77%. That's a 77% raise on your largest likely source of retirement income. And you don't need to do anything but wait. You don't need to save more. You don't need to invest better. You just need to delay. This is perhaps the most underutilized leverage point in all of personal finance. Second leverage point: work longer. Not necessarily full-time and not forever. But if the typical household works 2 or 3 years longer, they have multiple wins at once. They add more money to savings. They reduce the number of years they need savings to last. Their Social Security benefit continues to grow with delayed claiming. And they reduce healthcare costs because they might stay on employer coverage longer instead of going to Medicare. Working 3 years longer can increase your retirement security by 20 to 30%. That's enormous. Third leverage point: intentional spending reduction before retirement. The time to practice living on less is before you stop working. If you can reduce spending by $500 per month while still employed, that's $6,000 per year you can add to savings. Do that for 5 years before retirement, and you've added $30,000 to your nest egg. But more importantly, you've proven to yourself that you can live on less. You've already made the adjustment. When you retire, it won't be a shock. It'll be familiar. Fourth leverage point: strategic housing decisions. This doesn't necessarily mean downsizing. It means being intentional. If you have a paid-off home in an expensive market, refinancing into a 15-year mortgage and selling might unlock $100,000 or more to invest or hold in liquid savings. If you have a mortgage that extends into your 80s, paying it off aggressively before retirement removes a major monthly obligation. If you're in an expensive area with high property taxes, moving to a lower-cost region can cut housing costs in half. These housing decisions are major and personal and not right for everyone, but they're leverage points worth considering. Fifth leverage point: catch-up contributions. If you're over 50, you're allowed to contribute extra money to retirement accounts beyond the normal limits. In 2024, you can add an extra $7,500 to a 401k and an extra $1,000 to an IRA. If you do this for 5 years before retirement, you've added $40,000 to $50,000 to your accounts, and that money grows tax-deferred. It's a compressed, high-impact lever. Sixth leverage point: sequence of returns. This one's more technical, but it matters enormously in early retirement. The returns you get in your first 5 years of retirement are more important than returns in years 10 through 15. This is because early withdrawals mean you have less money to benefit from later growth. So in early retirement, being more conservative with the money you need soon while keeping longer-term money in growth investments can protect you. It's not about being risk-averse. It's about matching the time horizon of the money to the risk you take with it. And seventh leverage point, part-time income. The retirement that includes part-time work, freelance, consulting, part-time employment, small business, changes the math entirely. If you earn an extra $1,000 per month in early retirement, you don't need to withdraw from savings at all that month. Please, have some pizza, I've eaten too much. Over 5 years, that's $60,000 you didn't need to deplete. Part-time work also gives structure and social connection and purpose, which research shows extends both lifespan and happiness in retirement. Now let me be clear about something. I'm not saying retirement is impossible, or that you're doomed if you're at or near the median. I'm saying that the reality of the median is more constrained than the average might suggest, and that understanding the leak points and leverage points puts you in control. You can see where money drains, and where you can make changes that matter.